Hi, my name is Cara and I brought something to show you today. I wish I was sitting here telling you about it with my dad, but he's about 3,000 miles that way right now, in a little town in California where I grew up. And in that little town, there's a millworks, historic park, and school of traditional arts that my dad and my mom spent the last 30 years building. It was my playground growing up, and I wish I was standing there today telling you about this. But we're going to do the best we can with what we've got today. I brought this to show you. This is a steak turner, and it's used for turning steak on barbecue or on a grill. I'm not very passionate about barbecuing or grilling, and I don't really care about steak, but this is pretty important to me. And it's important because of what it represents. I made this last Christmas Eve with my dad. I hadn't been home in about a year and a half, and I was starting to get pretty homesick for my daddy, for home and for the mill and for projects, I guess. I called my dad and I was telling him all the things that I wanted to do, and then I remembered blacksmithing. When I was 13 years old, my dad saw a blacksmithing demonstration and he got excited about it. He got passionate about it, like he does with all sorts of things. And he said, I'm going to build a blacksmith shop. And he asked me if I wanted to learn how to blacksmith with him. And my dad asks you something like that, you don't say no. You jump right on that opportunity, and I did. So Tuesday night was my night. Every Tuesday night, my dad and I would teach ourselves how to blacksmith. We did it probably the year I was 13, I guess. And it was one of the greatest experiences of my life, and I remember it pretty fondly still. And I hadn't been in the blacksmith shop since I was 13. So I told my dad that was one of the things I wanted to do together. And we went down to the mill on Christmas Eve. And the mill is usually a hustle bustle of activity. There's people and machines and animals, and it's always going and moving, and it's alive and breathing. And on Christmas Eve it was quiet and deserted like a ghost town. The tourists who are usually there wandering about weren't there, they were closed. The employees who were always there running machinery and making products and projects had a day off. The students were on their winter break, so it was just us and the animals munching on their food. And my dad got up early and he went down and started a fire in the forge. I got to sleep in because I'm a spoiled daughter and I was on vacation. And I came down and we spent the day blacksmithing. We made 4 steak turners. They start out as just a solid piece of round stock iron. And if my dad was here, I'd have him tell you about how the forge works mechanically and where the history of it all comes from and what it was like in the 1800s when blacksmiths were, you know, one of the most important people in a small town. I'd have him tell you about the science of what goes on in the metal when you heat it like that, and what's happening when you hit it on the forge. Mostly because I'd like to learn all those things from him again, but I don't know it well enough to tell it to you, and he's not here, so I'm going to tell you the part I know, and the part I know is what it felt like to make this and to do it with my dad. My dad's incredible. He's well, maybe most girls say their dad's incredible, but mine's the most incredible. It's really true when I say it. He has a passion. He has a passion for life, and he has a passion for history and the way that things were done, and he never ever hesitates to ask why. He delves into the bottom of everything, and he wants to fully understand it. And I think that that's something that I got from him, and I hope that if I have kids someday, they get that from me. It's a quality I just adore in him. He's such a wealth of knowledge, and when he understands something, he saturates with it. He becomes it, and he knows it, and he owns it. And you just want to stand next to him and feel it. You want to be in his presence because it's incredible. And so he would be able to tell you about everything there is to know about a steak turner. And if there were a professional blacksmith and he came and looked at this, he would tell you, yeah, that probably a girl who'd never done blacksmithing since she was 13 made this and really didn't know what she was doing, but maybe she did a pretty good job. It's pretty straight, and you know, my point's pretty sharp. It'd stick into a steak, and I got a little leaf here that I made, and you know, maybe it doesn't look like a real leaf, but it's pretty good. Mostly though, it was the experience that was important to me. When you're standing there and if you've ever seen a forge, it's got a big hand crank on it, and you're turning it, and it's sucking air in, and it's blowing it up through these hot coals, and you're heating them past hot, and you put your metal on top, and it's forcing that superheated air right onto the metal. And the metal starts to heat up, and it changes color. It starts out as this, you know, dark steel gray black, and then it goes to this beautiful burgundy, this maroon color, and then it just gets redder and redder and redder until it hits this true red and immediately starts turning orange. And the orange goes all the way to yellow, and the yellow goes all the way to white. And that's one of the things I remember from when I was 13 is, you know, if your dad walks away to go do something, keep an eye on the metal, because if it gets white, you're burning it up, and it's no good anymore. So I remember that part for sure. So about when it gets to a nice orange color, we pull it out of the fire and we set it on the anvil and we start hitting it with a hammer. And you don't just hit it, you know, willy-nilly, you're actually doing something with it. We start out and we make a square portion in the center, and then we put it into a vise and we twist it, and we get this decoration here. I could tell you all the steps that we did for this, but unless you have a forge at home and my directions are really that good, you probably don't care. It'd be much more exciting if I could show it to you. But the part about the forge that's so incredible is that you've got a hammer, and I'm 5 feet tall, I'm not a big girl, but you have a hammer and you're hitting iron, you're hitting metal, and it's malleable, and you're molding it into something. And the feeling of that is incredible. And I'm not the strongest person in the world, and like I said, I haven't been doing this a long time, so I had to hit the metal quite a bit to get it to do what I wanted it to do, but I did. I took it from this 1/4-inch stock, and I drew it out to this fine point, and we twisted it in the shape we wanted it to be. And under my dad's instruction, I made it into a leaf. I took round metal and I made it into a leaf, and that's incredible to me. It's dirty and it's sooty and it's kind of dark in there, and you come home with soot streaks on your face and maybe blisters on your hands, and I probably broke a few fingernails, and you feel your scalp that night and you've got kind of grit in there. You're not quite sure how it got there. The whole place gets smoky and probably hurt your lungs if you did it for 50 years every day. I don't know. But it's incredible. It's something I wish that everybody had a chance to do, especially with their dad, or my dad, even better. So that's what I wanted to tell you about today. I wish my dad was here. We probably wouldn't be sitting still. We'd be moving around. My dad's a little too ADD to just sit and talk about something. We'd be showing you, we'd be doing. But you'd be able to see his passion, and I'd be able to explain that or share that a little bit better. So I guess that's about all I have to say. I hope that my dad gets to teach you something, and you get to learn from him, because I love to learn from my dad, and if I could spend the rest of my life following him around and just absorbing his knowledge and getting to experience the things he experiences, I would take that up in a heartbeat. Thanks for listening.
Okay. Now you gotta say hi to your dad. Say hi to your dad.
Hi, Daddy! I love you! Hopefully I didn't give any totally wrong information about blacksmithing. I hope we get to do this together, and even if we don't, I hope we play together for the rest of our lives. I love you guys.